Okay, so now that I've got my descriptive statistics calculated, my next step is to create a table of descriptive statistics. We typically like the mean and the standard error, so those are the ones that we'll work with. We have to sort of grab those values and put them into a nice, neat table that will allow us to very easily make a graph from them. Okay? Remember, graphs are pictorial representations of these descriptive statistics, and therefore give the reader or the viewer kind of a pictorial or graphical representation of the relationships between your different treatment groups. And so to do that, I'm just going to kind of slide over here a little bit, and I'm going to take this data here that is our descriptive statistics, and I'm going to highlight it. And so there it all is right there. In fact, I only need to go to there because that's the data that I want. Okay. And I'm going to right click and hit copy. And I'm going to move that data over here. But this time when I move it, I'm going to paste it now as just values. In other words, each of the cells will not have a formula in it, but rather just a specific value. If I copy and paste this over here, it's going to take the formulas with it, which will change the cell references, and then all the data will get changed. In fact, I'll show you that. I'm going to do that, and you'll see what happens. If I just hit paste, you can see it doesn't work. So that is not going to work. So I have to do a paste, and you can see there's a choice right there. It just says values, and there it is. And now you can see that all those values are just values. They're not formulas anymore. Notice up there, you don't see any formulas, and that's what we want. We just want values. You can see that we got a lot of significant figures in these cases. So again, I'm going to highlight all this data and just get us down to a couple significant figures in each. And I think that is plenty right there. Okay, so we're good to go. Now we want to just get all this data kind of scrunched together so we're in good shape. It's probably a good idea right now to label it to make sure that we've got, our weeks and so on. And so we know that this first treatment is just parasites alone. All right, so there's our parasite data. And it's way down here that we start to do our parasites and herbicides plus herbicides. So we probably want to label that. Sometimes I think it's also a good idea to just kind of, color code data so that, you don't accidentally mess things up. So we'll go ahead and put a little color to those cells. Just kind of makes, oops, let's try that again. Okay, we want, I like light green's good color. Okay, all right. And then we want to do by weeks too. So this is week 0, and this is week 1, and this is week 2, and this is week 3, and this is week 4, and so on and so forth. And now we just want to scrunch all that data together. And so I'm just going to move these boxes up so that they're all right next to one another in the right place. Good, got that. Excellent, look at that. Okay, all right. And then we want our other table of the parasites and herbicides. And so we go ahead and move those up too. Cool. And we can just slide that up, highlight that. Notice that when you're going to move something, it turns into a cross with arrows. There we go. And then the nice thing about this is that we can just go up here and take these values here. Am I missing one? Yes, missing one. Here it is. Okay, and we can take these values here and then just copy them. So copy, and then paste, and there's those values there. And then, gosh, maybe I just want to take these and make them a different color just so they're separate. Make those guys light blue. And then, gosh, let's just move all that up to right below our table above. So that looks good right there. Okay. All right. So we've got it kind of nicely organized, but I think, there's actually a better way to put these means and standard deviations together in a table. And so what we really want is a table which has our two treatment means next to each other, our two treatment standard errors or standard deviations next to each other. And so we're going to kind of move this around so we get that. And so the first thing I'm going to do is take all these and just kind of slide them over out of the way. And I want to take these means here and I want to put them up there right next to the other one. So I'm going to put those right there. And so now this is now what we've done is we've separated these into two treatment groups. These are the parasites and these are the means, and then this is the parasites. I'll just abbreviate it, plus herbicides, and that works really good. And those are mean values here, and so we can get rid of this now. We don't really need it, and so we can just kind of slide that down a little bit. And just to remind ourselves that this is a mean, these are means, one thing I can do is highlight those two boxes, right click, choose Format Cells, go to Alignment, and then I'm going to merge those two cells. Okay, and so those are merged. Okay, I've actually added a little button up there in the left corner. That is a special button that you can choose by choosing that drop-down arrow and getting the customized quick access toolbar. So things you use a lot you can put up there. And so I could choose that too, and that would just automatically merge and center anything in it. So that's going to remind me that that's the means. And I'll go ahead and put it right in the center. There's our centering button right there. And then I want to do the same thing with the standard error too. So I'm not so interested in standard deviation, but I am interested in standard error. So I'm going to take the standard error and slide it over there, okay, next to it. There it is. And then just going to get rid of the standard deviation. I don't really need it anymore. Get rid of that one too. And then I'm going to take the standard error for the other treatment and put it right next to it. Okay. And then rename this. And so I'm going to call it SE. And then I'm going to do that nice merge and center. Isn't that nice? Woo, up there. Okay, center it. And again, this is the same thing. So I'm going to go just copy that over there. So I can copy and paste. Or another way is to just drag that over and it will do it for us. And we're going to make that a little wider. Good. So now we've got ourselves in a nice table. I can get rid of this color if I want to. Don't really need it anymore. Oops. There. Now we've got a nice table with our means for our parasites and our measure of variation, which is standard error. And it's from this table that we're actually going to create our graph. Okay, so now we've got our table of means and standard error, and we can use that table now to make a nice line graph. So this particular kind of graph, a line graph, allows us to compare two groups, in this case our parasites and our parasite plus herbicides treatment, over time. So we've got 5 weeks or 5 measurement time periods that we're comparing this over. So a line graph is perfect for this. So to do a line graph, we're just going to go up and first thing we're going to do is highlight our data. And so, oops, just the mean. And then we're going to go up to Insert, and we're going to find the graph we're interested in. And it looks like there's our line graphs right there. You could also choose from here, but I think we're going to use this one. We choose the down arrow, and then when you hover over these, you can see it makes the graph for you, but it also gives some information about it. We don't want a stacked line graph. That actually adds up our variables and stacks them on top of each other. We just want a regular line graph with markers, so I'm going to choose that. And there it is. And I'm just going to kind of grab it, move it over, so it's right under my data. And so we've got our graph. This is a really nice graph. And so the blue is our parasites, and the orange is our parasites and herbicides. The dots are the means for each week over this time period. Got a nice chart title in there, and so on and so forth. So now we want to make this graph so that it has all of the components that it needs, so that if someone looked at the graph, they would know exactly kind of what we did in this experiment. So we need to put in axis labels and units. We need to put in our measures of variation, standard error. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that right now. So first, in college or in most scientific papers and journals, we typically don't use chart titles. It's not that it's wrong, it's just, we just don't tend to do it so much. So I can actually highlight that and just delete it and get rid of it, okay? And then you'll notice that on my graph, I've got these, when I kind of put my cursor over it, I get these things on the side here. And these allow us to put in various elements and change certain features of the graph and so on. So the first one I'm going to click on is the plus. And you can see I want to put some things in. So the first thing I'm interested in is to put in my axis titles. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And there it is right there. And then I can go over and I can just highlight that title and change it. So this is the percent, the percent affected. Since we're going to go ahead and put in our measures of standard error here, I can go ahead and indicate right on the y-axis what those bars mean. And so I can just put in +/- SE. SE, everybody knows, is the abbreviation for standard error. So we're good to go. And then we hit, want to hit enter and then click off of it. And we've got that. And of course, we want to put in a x-axis title, and of course these are weeks. So we're good to go there. Or we could put time if we wanted to, and then in abbreviations we could put weeks, because our unit of measure here is weeks. Trying to get my cursor there. There it goes. Okay, and then click off of it, and we're good. So we've got weeks there. Okay. Now we want to go ahead and put in our standard error measurements. So we're going to go ahead and click on that error button, that plus button again, and you can see error bars. Now this gets a little tricky here, so pay close attention. We're going to scroll down to error bars, but we're not going to click it. Okay, we're going to go over to that button, and we're going to click that button, and you can see another box comes up, and here we want to go ahead and put in our more options. Okay, that's what we want to choose. For this one, we're going to put in the error bars for parasites first. So I'm going to hit OK. All right. And then a nice little bar sidebar comes up that allows us to put in the correct standard error measurements. And so I like error bars that go in both directions. That's why the both is checked. But you could do just the plus if you wanted to. But I think for this, both make sense. I like caps on the end of my error bars. Kind of cleans things up. And then for some reason, Microsoft Excel just puts in some bars there. I'm not sure why it does that or what those means, but we're not interested in any fixed values here or percentage or anything like that. We want to put in custom error bars. So we're going to click on that, and then we're going to say specify value. And so the upward or positive error bar is going to go here. I'm just going to click that box, and I'm going to highlight all the errors for the parasites treatment. I'm just going to highlight all of them. Okay, click that box again. Go to the negative error bar, the down bar, and I'm just going to highlight the same values again. Boom, and hit OK, and there we go. And then I'm going to follow that exact same procedure for my other treatment. Okay, and so I can click on the graph here and hit the plus button again. Or another shortcut for this is to just kind of click on the series. Okay, and hit the plus button, and then go down and choose error bars and over, and you'll notice it sort of automatically knows which ones you're going to do. So the more options, same thing, custom, specify value. We want to do the up error bar for that treatment. There it is right there. And then we want to do the down error bar, which is just the same values going in the other direction. Okay, and hit OK. And there we go. Now we've got a nice graphical representation of the means for each treatment and the variation around those means, the standard error in this case. Okay, great.